Hi, I'm HrudayaRaj, and this is the author interview. There is something so special about the way in which books can take you on a journey. You can travel the world in your very own home, and you can experience and learn through wisdom that has been put onto pages. Joining me to talk us through her journey as an author is the amazing Muneera. Muneera, welcome to the author interview.
Hi.
So, Muneera, being someone that is so young, I do want to ask, what is it that got you into this journey of being an author? How did it all begin?
Oh, well, that's actually not as fun of an answer as I can give. I've been writing my whole life. Since before I could spell, I've always been writing. Like, that's just been the only thing I've ever been passionate about. It's the only thing I've ever cared about. Like, uh, I would have to write a story for every picture in my coloring book. Once I colored a picture, like now there's a story here. And I'm sure my parents would have been so annoyed. So I was like, okay, now let me tell you the story behind this picture. But I really have just been writing my whole life. It's the only thing I've ever wanted to do, actually.
So, what you've just said actually makes me think of my little niece because I remember taking a book to her and I was reading the story to her. And then she said to me, wait, I'll tell you the story. And looking at the pictures, she was weaving this tale. And it makes me just think. So, this is the start of the
Yes,
author journey. I love that. I
yes.
love that so much. And you have always been passionate about writing, but what are the books that you have enjoyed and that have played a role in where you are right now?
Oh, that has been a very long, winding journey. My mother is an English teacher, and she always instilled the love of reading in me and my siblings. So I've been like reading my whole life. I actually, ironically, I was quite a slow reader. I took a long time to learn how to read. Like all my siblings were reading, and I was like still figuring this out. Um, and there have been a lot of books over the years that I felt like shaped me.
Mm.
Um, I used to read The Famous Five a lot. My it was actually my older sister. She would read it, and then I'd read it because she's reading it. Because that made me a big person if I was reading what she was reading. And I love Jane Austen. I think Jane Austen really shaped me. I don't write the romance that she wrote, but I do like appreciate how she was able to tell a story, and I think that really was a huge impact on me.
I'm not surprised that if your mom was an English teacher, that Jane Austen was where you found some direction in there. And you've touched on the fact that it's not romance. So let's talk about your writing. Where does your passion lie?
Well, you've read the book. You see that there's a lot of horror in it. It's quite a scary book. And that really was through trial and error. I am a horror girly. I love horror movies. Like that's just, that's how there's always this meme about a girl saying, "Oh, I just need to unwind," and then they show her watching like true crime podcasts
Yes.
or those documentaries. Like that's me. I love a good horror. Um, but I actually did start by writing romance. That was where I started writing. And it really was just finding my writing voice. So what you're reading is now the final product. There's so much that's been written that hasn't been published because I didn't like it or I felt like that
Mm.
wasn't me. So it was a very long journey to get here with writing something. And I had a lot of people read it and say it just doesn't feel authentic. It just doesn't feel like you.
Mm.
And then what you're reading now was when people were like, wow, this is amazing. This is good. You need to publish this. This is what you're writing.
So that was when it became Muneera the meme, the girl with the horror.
Yeah.
But I actually really like the fact that you tried different genres because one of the things that a lot of writing coaches say is write outside of your comfort zone. Explore it just so you know what is for you and what isn't for you. And sometimes it's through this level of experimentation that you find where your passion truly, truly is. And for you, it is in horror. And do you find that people have interesting reactions when they see this sweet young lady and she's writing horror?
Absolutely. That is probably the biggest aversion when I say I write books and they ask what I do, like what I write. And when I explain it, then they're like, somebody actually looked at me and said, it's always the quiet ones. But yes, there is this aversion, or there's like shock that,
Shock.
oh, yes, you're writing that. That's so strange.
But I think that's actually really important because when we look at the younger generation, the girls that are coming after us, they
Mm.
sometimes need to see that, yes, you can do this. Because, I mean, when I was younger, it was just R.L. Stein Goosebumps. And
Yes.
I couldn't relate to that. But somewhere in South Africa, there could be a young girl that has this passion for horror and looks at you
Mm.
and says, yes, I can do it, and tells her parents, give me a chance because Muneera has proven that it can be done, so I can do it too. And so
Yes.
there's power in that representation.
Absolutely, yes.
And as you've evolved as a writer, have you found that there are strengths that you've recognized? And have you found that there were challenges along the way?
No, absolutely. I have found my skill. There has been such a journey that has been, oh, it has been a hard journey. It has been such a hard journey just to get here. But I am proud that I can see what I'm good at, what I'm able to do, and also, Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. That's my brother. He just got back. Um,
Bye.
but I can see how I've grown and how I can stick to it. And I mean, there are so many times when I'm like, what's the point? Just give up, don't do it. But I have been able to stick through it. And over the years, I've gotten better at sticking through it. Like, I'm sure there are like 3 novels unfinished, which I might never ever finish.
And
But
that's
this
okay.
book, but this book specifically, I was like, no, I made a commitment. I'm doing this, and I powered through, and I did it. And sometimes I'm like, oh wow, I did that.
Yeah.
um, but it has been a really long, hard journey to get here.
And being an indie author, being it's not necessarily the easiest of tasks
Mm.
because have to now learn how to be a marketer and you have to delve into the arena of book talk. How has that felt for you? Sort of putting yourself out there.
That has, I don't want to take away from my struggle as an author, but I do feel like advertising has been the hardest part of the journey. Especially with book talk. My friend actually suggested to me, she asked me after I published my first book, how are the sales going? And I was like, they're not going that great. I mean, I'm making sales, but it could be better. And then she said, well, have you tried just advertising on TikTok? Um, and I never considered. I was like, I'm not going on TikTok. I am not doing that. But I did do it, and actually, that's where I made most of my sales. It was like on TikTok, and that has been crazy for me. But it is really exhausting. It like takes a lot out of me, and like they will like I admire like I always used to like make fun of people who are on TikTok because I was like, oh, that's all you do. You're just dancing on your phone all day. But now that I'm doing it, I'm like,
Yeah.
the fact that you can do this every day is amazing because I can't do this every day. Like I wake up and then I will have a schedule and be like, oh, you should post between this time if you want, like, yeah, people to view it. And I was like, oh, I don't want to
Do
do
I
that.
have to?
Yes. Um, and there are so many scammers. Like
Mm.
there's so many people in my DM saying, "Oh, I will advertise for you. You just have to do this, or just join this free link. It's a community." And it's just it navigating that has also been such a challenge.
I think you've really given the audience a peek behind the curtain of what it's really like, what it takes in terms of being so vulnerable, putting yourself out there. And I think it's a struggle that many authors share because you love to write and that's where you want to be. You want to be writing. You don't want to be in the DMs having to navigate this. You don't want to be on camera and worrying about angles and lighting and sound and all of those things. And it is something that can take quite a bit of a toll on anyone. And I've seen so many of my other author friends saying the same thing. So don't worry, you're not alone in that. Now, having gotten this book published, what's next for Muneera?
Oh, I have like three more books in the works. I've got lots of plans, yes. I'm just right now I'm focusing on the launch. I want to,
Hmm.
the launch is next week. And I'm really hoping after the launch there'll be a really great reception. A lot of people will start buying the book after the launch as well. So there is this plan after the launch. I do have to focus on advertising, continue to advertise this book. But I also do have other books in the works that I do want to, get out there. And I kind of actually I want this launch to be the end. Can like I stop advertising this book so I can move on to the next
The
one?
next one.
Yes, I do have a manuscript ready that needs alpha leaders. So that's exciting. And then I've got two half first drafts of something that we'll see, but I do have plans to continue writing. There's always going to be another book.
I absolutely love that. I love that you're breaking barriers in terms of what the perception is of a writer, of a horror writer. You're showing women of color that this is something that they can do and they can do it well. And I think that there's often this misconception that all good books come from outside of the country, when in actual fact, there are tons of phenomenal writers like yourself right here in South Africa. And that I think is where people need to be focusing because yes, you can spend 800 Rand on a book that's come from abroad, but it won't even hold a candle to our local authors. And we need to be appreciating that. The fact that we have so much of talent right here. And if there are other young women out there with writing aspirations, what advice would you offer to them?
Um, the first one would be just write, that is advice that I've been given where you can't edit a blank page. So just write, you just have to write. And something that I've learned along the way is just ask for help.
Yeah.
There isn't, like you said, there is an amazing writing community here in South Africa. There's no like dumb questions. There is somebody who wants to help you. So just don't be shy. Just ask the question. Ask for help. Say, I don't know how to do this. Like, what must I do? Because I really wish that I had not been so like anxious to message other people and say, how did you do this? And I just was Googling things and figuring things out on my own. And I felt like the journey would have been so much easier if I had just said, hey, I need help. What do I do?
I love that. I think that is such sound advice because, yes, you cannot edit a blank page. And if the story is within you, then there are people that want to read it. I think before you doubt your story, always have that awareness that there are readers already in readiness for what you have to offer to the world. And yes, ask for that help. And there's amazing book talk community. There's also a Facebook group for authors. There's a WhatsApp group for writers. And there's so many spaces where people are happy to encourage you and answer the questions. And people like yourself who are willing to share the knowledge that you've been able to gain. And if I may ask, what was your favorite part of this latest title?
Oh, I actually loved just the hunkering down and getting the writing part done because there's planning the launch, designing the cover, there's all these other things, but actually just sitting down and creating the story that I wanted to. editing is so tedious, and then you go back
Yeah.
and you still so many spelling mistakes after it's been edited like 500 times. But just being able to create the story that I wanted to, and then leading it back and thinking, yes, that's what I wanted to say. That has been the best part. Well, and actually holding the book in my hand, the physical copy, that was an indescribable feeling, getting to hold that and being like, yes, I love that actually.
I think it's very much like holding a baby. Like, look, I created this. It's from me.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I felt. My friend had an actual baby, and it's just like, it's not the same, don't compare it. This is my baby. I was like, no, I also had a baby. This book is my baby.
And if you have to choose a character, and I know that's like asking a parent for their favorite child, who would it be and why?
In Stars and Scars.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think Tamara Khan from Experience. Uh, she was actually the first horror character I ever created. And she has been the template for every other character. So I think I'm so sorry to all the others, but I think she's the OG final girl.
I think that's brilliant. I think that's so brilliant. And I feel like we need to have more horror authors locally. I think that there is such an audience for it. And I think spaces like Comic-Con would be brilliant for you, and they need to be knocking on your door because we have such brilliance here, and you are a sterling example of that. And so I hope that anyone that's watching this will pick up your book and not just attend your launch, but tell their friends as well. And I cannot wait to see all that you become. Thank you so much, Muneera.
Thank you.